time. My dreamy friend, it's coffee time. Let's listen to some.
Good morning from Kiev once again. It's the day after the second semi-final, and we will look back in this episode of Daily Coffee on that show, of course, on the results of that show. I will do that with Chief Editor Steef van Gorkum from ESC Daily and with Brandon McCann, who, I'm sad to say, will be leaving us after today, Team ESC Daily.
I know, and I feel really bad, especially considering what the running order draw has been. I think it's going to be a very interesting final, and I'm really sad that I won't be able to see it live in Kiev.
We will talk later in this episode about what makes it so interesting. First, we look back at last night, of course. Estonia not through. A surprise, a slight surprise when compared to Finland.
Yeah, Estonia for me was not as much of a surprise as Finland was. I had them in my list of qualifiers, so I had 9 out of 10 correct yesterday. But once the show started, once the results came in, I considered briefly the possibility that, because I had Norway as my number 11, that Norway might sneak through and who would then go out. And Estonia was one of the countries that I'd always been somewhat sure that they would qualify, but I've never really been able to put the finger on it as to why. Running order maybe, song is quite alright, but it just wasn't the top favorite that you know is going to get the votes, and they didn't.
Furthermore, Brandon, I think we had a result that not many people will lift up their eyebrows for.
Regarding Norway, yeah, absolutely. It was overall a very good song, very modern, radio-friendly, and considering Latvia not qualifying in the first semi-final, I was worried that Norway wouldn't either, but at the end of the day, they did, and then rightfully so, I'd say.
Okay, guys, let's talk about the draw for the final, the countries that made it, the 26 finalists. Let's start it off with Croatia, to stay with last night as well. It's the only country from former Yugoslavia that's in the final. Will that help Jacques Hudek for a good result?
Yes, because this is also a song that, despite the fact that it's in English and Italian and not in Serbo-Croatian, it's still the type of song that has a regional audience, I would say. So there is definitely a televote there for the countries that have strong cultural ties to Croatia, especially to the left of Croatia. I would say Slovenia, for example, is definitely a country that might vote for this. And so that's going to help him. What's also going to help him is the running order, of course. He received place 13.
He got the pimp slot.
Yes, the pimp slot in the first half of the show. And we've discussed it so many times, like Italy is there, Portugal is there, Armenia, and we were considering maybe until last night Bulgaria will go in there as well. Who are they going to give that slot to? And they gave it to Croatia, which was kind of a surprise.
Okay, you mentioned Bulgaria in that story as well, but one more question to you, Brandon, about Croatia. The fact that it got the so-called pimp slot, how high do you think he might have ended up in his semi-final?
It could be a red herring. Maybe he did mediocrely well, maybe 5th place in the jury final, but overall, I don't know. I think Portugal must have stood out, especially in the first semi-final in their slot 11. Yeah. So maybe this is just an opportunity for Croatia to do well, but not as well as people might be thinking with the running order slot that they've been given.
Apart from Italy, a country that we have discussed many times in these weeks, is Bulgaria now, with this draw, with his performance, with the reception, the one to watch as well?
I'd say absolutely, especially considering he's performing second last, which is always the glory slot in the Eurovision Song Contest. Do I think it will win? Probably not, but I think it's probably its highest chances Bulgaria's ever got to actually potentially winning the show.
Do you agree with Brandon, or are you more confident that it could actually win?
I am quite confident about Bulgaria's chances. It's not my number 1 still. I have to see the jury finals tonight. And I'm very much in doubt right now between. I mean, the bookmakers. We've discussed 5 countries over these weeks, and the bookmakers now narrowed it down to 3, which is Bulgaria, Portugal, Italy, suggesting that those 2 countries, Portugal and Bulgaria, might have won their semi-finals. So those will be the 3 for me to watch tonight. During the jury show, and then we'll see. But it might be a lot closer than we were thinking 1 week ago when Italy was miles and miles ahead.
Can the bookies be right? Like we have the same scenario as last year with one country winning the jury vote, probably Bulgaria. One country winning the televote, probably Italy. And then there's one country sneaky behind them, not winning neither one of these votes, Portugal, but ending up on top.
Portugal could be the new Jamala, could be the same as last year, that they just sneak through based on the 8 and the 10 points, they actually make it. That's why it's probably one of the most unpredictable years we've had yet.
Okay, so we'll talk again, Steve. We will talk again tomorrow, of course, after the vocal assessments you will do tonight of the grand final.
Yes, and the last couple of days I want to say thank you to all the people who've been watching those blogs. We have massive numbers for them, and we want to thank you for that. And tonight we will be doing the same thing. We will analyze how the juries will look at that show and how they might determine 50% of the results. And there's one other thing that I would like to say right before Brandon goes to the airport. For all of his fans at escdaily.com, you just said you're going to leave Team ESC Daily. That's just for Team Kiev, you know. Yeah. He will stay with us, and you will get to see a lot more of him.
Absolutely. Couldn't dream of leaving AC Daily and leaving all you lovely people, so thank you very much for all your continued support and your coverage of us, and hopefully see you all in, who knows, Milan, Lisbon or Sofia.
Sofia.
Yeah.
Thank you.